Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to post a quick update video. I know it's been months since I posted about my first Ocrevus infusion, and I think things with that have been going pretty good. Um, but, life kind of comes at you fast, and some other things have happened since then. Um, got a new property, new house, moved out of the city, which is a positive, but it also came with a price. It's bittersweet. Um, about 2.5 months ago, or 2 months and some change, I had to put my best friend to sleep. Um, I'm just now to the point where I can kind of talk about it. We have two dogs, Sissy, which is right there. I love her, sweet lady, and Chester. He was actually the younger of our two dogs. And a long story short, I woke up one morning and both the dogs were acting kind of funny, acting kind of sick. And Sissy, she was throwing up. She threw up a lot. I gave them some doggy ice cream because they weren't feeling well and took them outside. And she threw up, and he did not. He was really, really lethargic. And, so we just kind of figured he had something, like a stomach bug or something going on. He just wasn't feeling well. So that evening, though, when my fiance got home, we took him to the vet. And they gave Sissy an anti-nausea medication and said that Chester was painful because they tried to get him to turn his head, and he kind of yelped a little bit. But that's just the way that he was, If he was nervous, he might yelp a little bit. So anyway, I took him home. Over the next couple of days, Sissy improved and Chester did not. He actually kept getting worse to the point where we took him to the vet. I think it was on a Wednesday when they woke up and they were sick. And I took him to the vet again the next day, to the emergency vet. Again, they didn't do anything for him. They did a couple tests and they were like, oh, well, whatever, he's, just whatever. So that night, he stopped eating at that point. He had stopped using the bathroom as much. And we kind of took turns sitting vigil with him. I stayed up with him until she got up in the morning, and then she got up with him for a while and sat with him. And we're just loving on him, kissing him, telling him to be okay. And finally, we took him to our personal vet again on Friday. She was a little concerned, but not horribly, and said if he wasn't better by Saturday to bring him back in. So she gave him some anti-nausea meds, and that actually didn't help him at all. He was still feeling sick in some sort of way. So Saturday morning, we got up, took her back to him, and she actually came back out to us and said he is jaundiced, which meant that his liver and kidneys or whatever were shutting down, his liver. And he had some yellowing in his eyes. So we have actually one of the better emergency vet hospitals in a couple states near where we lived. It was about half an hour away, 45 minutes. So we took him there. They saw him, met with him. Unfortunately, we took him there on a weekend, and their vet dream team is not there on the weekend. They're only there on the weekdays. So basically, they were going to give him some supportive care over the weekend and do as many tests as they could. And so we kept calling and checking on him and calling and checking on him. And the doctor, I think it was Saturday night, called us back and said that he thought he knew what it was, and he thinks it's a bacterial infection called leptospirosis. I'd never fucking heard of it. Neither had my fiance. We'd never heard of that before. And it can come from several places, usually contaminated water supplies, things of that nature, out in the country or whatever. But that wasn't our issue. We're thinking what happened was because our inside house cat had gotten sick about a week before the dogs did, and she had like diarrhea all over the house. And so we were trying to figure out what they all could have gotten into. And I remember it was about a couple days before they got sick, Sissy had found a dead mouse outside, because we have an outside cat too that kills mice and birds and everything else. And Sissy had been chewing on that dead mouse, and it was nasty. It had like maggots and all that stuff. And the dogs have a shared water supply inside, and the cat. They all have a shared water dish. So the only thing we can figure is that maybe after messing with the mouse, she went in there and drank out of the water dish. And cats don't get as sick from lepto as dogs do, so that would explain our cat only having an upset stomach. You know, Sissy's an older dog, so her immune system's a little better than Chester's would be, because he was younger than her by about 4 or 5 years. And so that was the doctor's assumption. The treatment for that is antibiotics. The antibiotics themselves are very tough on dogs. So, you know, they were supposed to start antibiotics. They were giving him IV fluids. He had stopped using the bathroom. You know, we went and saw him again on Saturday. We went and saw him again Sunday. When we saw him on Sunday, he was looking so rough. His paws were swollen. His face was swollen. He looked like he had aged about 10 years from what he was dealing with. There was some yellow stuff running out of his nose, I guess, you know, from his liver. And so we were trying to stay hopeful. We left there on Sunday afternoon, and we were just praying. I mean, I prayed harder than I've ever prayed in my life that my boy would be safe, that he'd be healthy and make it. And they called us, and I knew it was going to happen. They called us, it was like 3 in the morning. 3 a.m. I got a phone call from the hospital, and I knew what it was going to be. And they said, "You need to come put him to sleep." So we loaded up, drove down there. They actually gave us the option of doing it outside, which was really nice. We were able to put him to sleep outdoors in the grass. It was a nice out that evening, or that morning, whatever you want to call it. It was dark, but it was nice out. You know, because they thought he had leptospirosis, they didn't want us touching him with our bare hands, but he's my fucking boy, you know. And it's kind of like the whole Star Wars thing. Let me see you with my own eyes, Vader style. And I had to touch him with my own hands, you know. I was like, fuck it, I'll just wash my hands. I'll use hand sanitizer afterwards or whatever. You know, I did kiss him. I used to always kiss him 7 times on his little ears. And so I got a mask or a tissue paper for that. I put a tissue on his ear and kissed him 7 times and basically just told him goodbye. And, you know, they put him to sleep, and it's like the hardest thing. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of people. And I love animals, I love critters, I love creatures. I'm the guy that's taking out stink bugs to let them go. I'm a guy that's catching spiders in cups, and, you know, instead of killing a million ants with poisons, I'm finding the holes where they're getting into our house, you know, and fixing them, sealing them up. This is always going to hurt me, losing him. He was my fucking buddy. I mean, we were always together. If I was outside, he was pulling out the door. If I was inside, he was up my pants leg, you know. I mean, he, you know, every time I'd sit outside in my chair, that beige chair right there, he'd stick his little face up through the armhole so I could pet him, you know. He was my best friend, and I was his best friend, and we kind of needed each other. And it was just so unexpected. I mean, he was only about 8 or 9 years old. So we would have expected him to at least have another 6 to 8 years with us. So that's just been really tough. And, you know, on a side story, we had some problems with punk-ass piece of shit kids in our neighborhood where we used to live, which is one of the reasons we were looking forward to getting out of that freaking area, because it sucked. I mean, I got camera footage of them running through our alley with guns and all kinds of shit. Little kids, like 11, 12 years old and up to 15, 16. And some of the security footage that I had showed them flipping me off when I wasn't even looking. I was outside messing around in the garden. And, but that's how they were. They were punks. Like, they'd do stuff when you weren't paying attention, or when they had like 4 or 5 kids. And I went off on about 5 of them one day. before all this happened, and it was about a month or two before it happened. And so I'm kind of beating myself up in my head over it. I'm like, well, is it, because I talk shit to them, did they poison my dogs? And Chester got the brunt of it, but the vet at the hospital swears up and down he doesn't think that it was a toxin. He didn't see much of a sign of that. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things, when something like this happens, all these scenarios run through your head. What ifs? What could I have done differently? So, I don't know. That's kind of where we're at now. I'm struggling with it. Not sure when to get another dog. I want to be fair to Sissy too. I don't want to bring a dog in that's going to bother her, and I don't know. It's just a mess. But anyway, I've obviously had a lot more going on in life recently. Started the infusion process. I've actually been getting sick the last couple of days for the first time, which is probably going to be worse because my immune system is compromised because of the infusions. We've moved, so I've been doing crap around here constantly trying to get this place set up and all that stuff. We had some flooding when the hurricane came through in the basement, so we had to paint the floor and elevate shit. And but anyway, I'm going to be doing some more gaming uploads, some Black Ops 4 hate videos, I'm sure. But first things first, I wanted to post this and just let you know what was going on, and then I'm going to be posting either tomorrow or the next day a tribute video to my buddy, to Chester. And then after that, it should go back to, kind of regular content, some gaming uploads and some music stuff, whatever. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing well and aren't struggling with anything in life personally or with this weather that's been going on. But I appreciate all of you, and I'll catch you later. Peace.